I should probably introduce you in some way.
Okay.
And this is Ted Valentin. He's already on stage. And when Alfred says you need to think big, I'm not so sure that Ted would agree.
Yeah, I guess my presentation is going to be like the total opposite of what everyone said before me. Like, this is the total opposite. Ska vi se, yeah, that's me. And yeah, I'm going to talk to you about, on this topic of doing different, I'm going to talk to you about something called, I guess, micropreneurship. This is sort of a term that I'm not quite sure that I really like, because it sounds like it's regular entrepreneurship, just on a smaller scale. But actually, it's, have you heard this term before? Like, no? Someone? No. Okay, well, okay, it's a few people. So I think we have to come up with something better, because yeah, it sounds a little like it's just like doing regular entrepreneurship, but on a smaller scale. Actually, it's different. So what is it? To sum it up, like sort of fast, it's you start a business without venture capital. Like the best way actually to start a business, like from this perspective, is to do it while you're studying or while you're working at your regular job, and then you start this on on evenings and weekends and stuff like that, or while you're studying. I started my first company while I was studying, so that's a great way of having you don't have to make money like right away, so you have some time to evolve before you have to before you quit your job. And what it also is, it's like you have this like do everything yourself, and I think it's evolved thanks to the internet, because like with the internet you have access to like 1 billion potential customers, and like the tools to reach them is like all you need to start a business is a laptop and an internet connection. And when I started in 2003, 2004, like a laptop was still expensive, it was still like, I think I bought like a used laptop for 3,000 crowns, but today you can buy a used laptop for 100 crowns. So it's almost free. You can almost like start a business without like any money at all. And there's this little guy sitting here at the bottom working on a beach. So we're gonna get back to him. The best way for me to tell you about like this way of starting a company is to tell you shortly of like my own story. I was studying at the Stockholm School of Economics, and I was studying marketing, and this was in 2003, and the internet was like it was dead. It was like so unhot to do things on the internet. But I started this little website called Studentprenumerationer. I spent like 2 weeks, I think, like building it myself in the evenings, and it was really crappy, sort of. I think it still looks like this, actually, if you check it on the internet. It was sort of crappy. I built it myself. I learned how to code like on a 1 week course. So it was. And while I was studying marketing, I used this website to sort of experiment with marketing. And this was, as I said, 2003. There was this new thing called Google, and no one was doing any like marketing on Google, like AdWords. Like no one knew what it was. So I started doing that, and I was like the first to like have ads on Google, sort of. One of the first, not the first. But like on the words that I were, putting on the search terms I was advertising on, like no one else was there was like no competition there. So I was running this website, and I started making some pocket money. So that was quite nice. I was like making like a few thousand crowns per month, and I was a student, so I thought, well, wow, that's amazing. I can make money, I'm just sitting here with my computer, and when I was finished studying, I thought, wouldn't it be nice, like now with the internet, I could just take my computer and I could go to like an exotic country and just sit there and work and try to like build this business and just have like a total like freedom lifestyle and just work any place in the world and whenever I wanted to. So yeah, that's what I tried to do actually. So this studentprenumerationer, it grew into a bunch of websites that I built. This one in the middle is tidningsbutiken.se, which was like the magazine store.se, where I sold subscriptions to magazines. And then I built like other small websites, like one website where you could browse through magazines, and one website where you could there was a magazine archive, and one where you could comment on magazines and cheap magazines and everything, so I try to take every position possible. And I also made some sites in Norway and Finland. And at the time I was working from a cafe in Hornstull where I was living. So I was sitting at Mjölkbaren, which it doesn't exist anymore. It's sort of sad for me because it was my office for 2 years. And everybody was like, who's that dude sitting there in the corner, with his laptop every day? and some people that I met from Handels, from the Stockholm School of Economics, they were like, so what are you doing nowadays? And I was like, well, I'm running some websites and stuff. So yeah, I started the company. And they were like, oh, how many employees have you got? Well, okay, yeah, it's just me. And so where's your office? And I was like, well, actually I don't have an office. And then people are like, well, okay, loser, sort of. But the thing is, actually, from the beginning I was like selling like 1 subscription a day, 2 subscriptions a day. And then after 2 years, I was selling 100,000 subscriptions in 1 year. So I was still sitting at the cafe, and I got a turnover of like 4 million Swedish crowns, and I didn't really have that many, that big costs or anything. It was like, yeah, I guess, a few 100,000 for Google AdWords, I guess, and yeah, my server was like I think 1,000 crowns per month, so it was quite nice. So yeah, well, actually, okay, so that's what I'm going to come to now, is that it was nice, but what happened also was that I became I was like in the fire line for everybody in the magazine industry. I was selling like magazines on the internet, and when everybody like Googled a magazine, they came to one of my sites. And then they, if someone didn't get like their magazine or their grandma's magazine, there was a tear on the cover or something, and they wanted to call somebody and be angry and things like that. They just Googled that magazine and they found my telephone number and they tried to call me. So that was like the downside. And also I was dealing like with all the publishers in Sweden, and it turned out I had to work a lot. So I was working like 60, 70 hours like per week or something. And the original idea that I was going to work like whenever I wanted to, it still held true. I could work when I wanted to and where I wanted to, and but I was at the end I was working all the time. So, and I liked it, but it was still like my freedom was lost somewhere there. So then I sort of had 2 options: either to employ people and get an office and create a regular company, or to sell it. So I sold it. So I sold these websites to a competitor that had started for about 10 million Swedish crowns. And then they got some capital to just do some new things and develop some new interesting fun concepts and just do what I wanted to do, which was program and like develop new websites. That's what I thought was fun. The thing is, like when we start a company, and quite like fast you have to do like human resources and administration, and you have to employ people, and it's like, oh, that person doesn't like that person, and you have to deal with it because you're the boss, and like all these things, and you're not doing what you wanted to do in the first place. So what I wanted to do was just develop new things. So that's what I'm doing today. For example, I'm going to show you a few of my websites. So yeah, this is a quite recent one called Blogipedia, which is like Wikipedia, but better. Because Wikipedia is just facts, as you know, but Blogipedia is actually facts and opinions, so it's twice as good. So what it does is it aggregates snippets of information from the blogosphere about things. So if you write on your blog that, for example, Startup Day is fantastic, tomorrow you're going to see on Blogipedia that Startup Day is fantastic, and you can go in and sort of say that that was a positive statement. So this is what people are saying about Blondine Bella, for example. She's the biggest blogger in Sweden, and she's cute. She's cute, and someone saying she's a horrible person, etc. So it's opinions from people. And I'm also developing, like, some of you might have seen my maps websites, like the sushi map, the restaurant map, the pizza map, etc. I'm not going to show you all of my websites. Instead, I'm going to talk to you more about, like, this philosophy that's, like, sort of behind what I'm doing. I also founded, like, this event called the 24-hour business camp. How many of you have heard about the 24-hour business camp? Okay, so actually quite many. That's wonderful. So 24-hour business camp sort of packages, like, all of these, like, it's a very good condensed, you know, it's very much about this way of starting a business. So what you do is you have an idea, and you go to 24-hour business camp, and you launch like a functioning web service, like, in 24 hours. So you're 100 people, and everybody, or you're either alone or in a team, and you create, like, a web service in 24 hours. And the idea is that to show that how simple it is to start something on the internet. And obviously, like, a lot of these websites are not gonna, a lot of them are gonna fail. But the important thing is that you fail fast, you know. So instead of like, you know, having one idea and spending like 5 years doing that and then finding out, okay, it wasn't a very good idea, you have perhaps like a few ideas, and you try them as fast as you can, and you know, a lot of them usually, like, for most entrepreneurs, I think it's the third idea that's when you get it right. So for me, I think I got it right the second or third time, sort of. And a lot of the websites that I build are, you know, become failures, obviously. But if you do a lot of things, some of the things you do are gonna be good. And I guess you've heard about, like, too big to fail, right? I guess for me it's like the other way around. If you do something that's too small to fail, it's like, if you don't have any costs to run, you know, a website, I mean, you can't really fail, right? Because, I mean, yeah. I sort of lost track there. Actually, I have that here. So this is sort of part of my philosophy, is like, if you have zero costs, you can't fail. So I have a competitor, for example, on the maps that I'm doing, called Reko. And I think they've spent about, that's Reko and that's my maps, I think they've spent about 10 million so far on that thing. And I think they're going to run out of money soon, so I think they're going to fail. But my maps, you know, I don't really have any costs, so I can just go on forever, you know. Yeah. And how much more time do I have? A little bit more? Okay. So, so back to this micropreneurship. I think we all have to, you know, try to find a better word for it. Dagens Industri had a feature article a few weeks ago where they talked about us as grötentreprenörerna, meaning, like, we don't have venture capital, like, we have our own capital, and we don't need more capital than we need to sort of eat porridge for a while. So, and in this, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's a good word, but yeah. So, and one of the things I said there in that article is that my dream is to create something that needs minimal work and just, you know, pulls in money, right? So to some people, that's like a controversial idea. I think that it's like the basic. I mean, of course, you're trying to do something that's automatic. I mean, you don't want to. You want to create a website that just runs itself, and you get money on your account every month. Yeah. Like always, like when you have an article in Dagens Industri, there are going to be like a lot of people who are negative. And actually, this article had quite a few like positive comments as well. But I'm going to actually show you some of the negative comments because I think they say more. It's more interesting to look at like the negative things people are saying. So some people said about us, the Grötentreprenörerna, that they're not creating any growth. Okay. So none of these companies are going to be able to grow and stuff. And then another person was saying that, they're not employing any people and they're not going to increase the tax base, for Sweden. So, okay. And some other person said that, no one's going to be interested in investing in these companies. And that sort of gets you thinking, like, why am I an entrepreneur in the first place? Like, it's not like I wake up in the morning thinking like, today I really want to increase the tax base, and wouldn't it be wonderful if I could employ people and let other people make money from investing in my company? So that's not. I don't think that that's not what any of you are. That's not what you're thinking as an entrepreneur. What you want to do is something else. So what you want to do is. This is what I want to do as, the way that I'm working is, okay, creativity, that's sort of the core. You want to have fun, right? In Swedish, there's this word skaparglädje, which I think is like very important for me and for like 24-hour business camp, and it's the joy of creativity, There's also this word flow, which is like when you're just when you feel flow, you know that you're feeling it because it's great, and you forget to have lunch because you're having so much fun working. And then, as I talked about before, there's the freedom to sort of work anywhere and anytime you want. And if you're younger, that's quite nice because you can travel around the world and work. And if you're older, like I am, and you have a family and stuff, it's quite nice too when they call you from preschool and they're like, or dagis, and they're like, your daughter is sick and you have to come pick her up, and it's like, fine, okay, I'll work tomorrow instead, or next week, or next month, whatever. So, and then of course, not to forget, you want to make money, right? And the important thing here, as I said before too, is you want to make something that's scalable, right? It's not, that's the difference between like an entrepreneur and a freelancer, is like, you're not just selling your time, you want to build something that can that can scale, right? So the nice thing, like in the regular world, there are like laws of gravity. If you're mowing the lawn, like it's hard to charge like 200 crowns if the other guy is charging 100 crowns for mowing someone's lawn. You can say, I do it a little better or whatever. But on the internet, there are, this is starting to sound like the new economy or something, but the exciting thing, it's just numbers, right? I mean, it's sort of like, and there's no reason why you should make like 50,000. Why would you make 50,000? I mean, there's no correlation between, like, quite often your project ends up making like 50 crowns a day. But if you're lucky, you can end up having a project that makes you like 50,000 a day. So that's the nice thing about scalability. I think I'm just gonna. Can I show some role models? These are some of my role models, or some fun people. This is Ola Sevandersson. I don't know if he's here. I think no, he's not here, I guess. I haven't seen him. Ola started a photo editing software that lives in the cloud. So it's in your browser, called Pixlr, which is really cool. It's like Photoshop, but in the browser. So, and he built that while he was working at another company. So he just built it in his spare time. And the day he launched it, someone called him saying like, well, okay, I'll give you 1 million crowns for it. And he was like, no, forget about it. And now it has like, I don't know how many 100,000 hundreds of thousands of users, but it's really successful, and he's still employed. But there are talks now that he's going to sell it to like some really big company, probably for like 50 to 100 million or something. And it's still his sort of pet project. That's sort of nice. And this is a sort of inspiring story too. There's this Canadian guy who started a website called Plenty of Fish, which is like a free dating website. And it looks like crap. It looks really, really bad. When you look at it, you're like, what is this? You know, I could make something so much nicer, or you know, that's a nice thing to feel when you. But the thing about it is, it has a lot of users, and he says that he's working 1 hour a day now on this, and he's employed like his girlfriend and a few other people. I think mostly just because he thinks it's more fun to have some employees or something, and he was working like I was, in cafes and stuff, but then he got an office just so that people could sort of take this funny looking picture, I guess. And his company, the turnover is like I think 100 million Swedish crowns per year, and he's making like 50 million like a year in revenue, and the company Plenty of Fish is valued to like $1 billion, and he's just like 1 hour per day like on his laptop, so that's nice. I guess that's it. I could show you this one too. Of course, you're looking for this sweet spot. Can you see the circles? Oh, you can't really see the circles. There are supposed to be circles there. It doesn't matter. You can sort of use your imagination. You're looking for the sweet spot there where you have freedom, creativity, and money all in one. Like usually, it's hard to get all three at the same time. Like if you don't have a job, you have freedom, but not that much creativity or money. If you're working at a bank, you get money, but not a lot of freedom or creativity. And so you're looking as a micropreneur, you're looking for that thing in the middle. Okay. Thanks.
So thank you so much, Ted. This is also working out with
great.
the PT for you as well.
Wonderful.
Maybe you'll go together. And
Wonderful.
yeah, I thought you
Just
needed
what I
some
need.
structure, and then your daughter will be heavier, so you have to be strong to lift her, not break your back. So yeah.